Tomb of Sand by Geetanjali Shree. Translated by Daisy Rockwell.
Part 3. Back to the Front. Chapter 1. Here we are at Wagha, where the tale is drama and the story is partition. Is this the chronicle of the getting smaller woman, or is every story really a partition tale? Love, romance, longing, courage, pain and separation, bloodshed? It's an absent presence, lost souls flitting about in the ether, or sitting. The group of partition writers has come to sit in a row, and every person has a name card at their place like at a formal banquet. Bhisham Sahani, Balwant Singh, Joginder Pal, Manto, Rahi Masoom Raza, Shani, Intizar Hussain, Krishna Sopti, Khushwant Singh, Ramanan Sagar, Manzoor Ehtasab, Rajinder Singh Bedi. So many, one could go on, and crowding around them, actors, bobbing and swirling like acrobats as they read lines from their scripts. Mohan Rakesh's character Ganni is seated on his pile of rubble. There sits Intizar Hussain Sahib writing Basti. His heart is filled with sorrow. We young bloods emigrated towards a new horizon that had opened up to us. We were the chosen ones. But no one wanted to leave their homes. How could I turn my back on my hometown of Dubai forever? Did we know that once we turned our gaze from there, we unwittingly turned it from here, and the path to our return would be cut off forever? Maulana, the actor, reads from his lines. Everyone has wronged us. Strangers have done it, and our own have done so as well. I wander about listlessly, hollowed out on the inside, disaffected on the outside, reads an actress from a page. When Intizar Sahib turns to look at her, she taps his shoulder and reads aloud his own written words as though they are hers. And Intizar Sahib is the reader. It's sad when lanes, birds, trees no longer recognize you. If they do, you feel depressed. You wander about looking for the neem tree. Intizar Sahib speaks listlessly over here. The situation is that the neem, tamarind, mango, people all stare back at me blankly. And over there, the pages of Zindagi Nama riffle by and an actress stops to shuffle through them. Krishna Sopti emerges from the pages, looking fabulous in a brilliant purple garara and kurta studded with silver stars, a warm vest, and chitrali cap to top it off. Uncapped pen still in hand, ink not yet dry. As she moves the pen across the page, she draws a line between Zindagi Nama and a Gujarat here, a Gujarat there, and keeps forging ahead as though fashioning new borders, all of which she will cross, and thus it is never closed and never shall be. One character walks along by her side, dazed, and remarks softly after opening the book. Hindarao had sons, four, Sio, Theo, Dio. Why bother naming the fourth? He was a Dalit meant to pick up the trash. Islamuddin also had sons, four, Arab, Pathan, Turk, Mughal. Other characters here and come crowding around from all over, as though these are the sounds of some game in which one can form all sorts of words by stringing syllables together. Together, separately, one after another on two sides far from each other. The slogans rise, dance, stir, pause, in a strange theatrical manner as if experimenting to see which permutations are the most fresh and invigorating. Then a voice. Why just your voice? Why not mine? If not mine, then not yours. If not yours, then none. Krishna Sopti is drawing lines with her pen, joining them from memory. The voices pierce one another, turn to steam and bubble up among the populace. New border, new crossing. Just then, Bishan Singh from Manto's Toba Tek Singh comes somersaulting along, and with each turn, a security guard immediately shoots at him, and a thin stream of red shoots from his body. And with each of his dizzying turns, red fountains arc in the air above the stage. Some laugh, some shake with fear. Vishen Singh relishes them watching him, and he executes more maneuvers in the air in a showy manner, at which the shooting causes more red circles to spring forth, and he begins to recite his beloved gibberish. Opad gaddi anakcheh di padyadan, the mung di dal of the lante. The actors are delighted and recite with him. Opad gaddi anakcheh di padyadan, the mung di al of Pakistan government. Opad di anakshe di Budayana, the mung di dal of the Vahe Guruji da Khalsa and Vahe Guruji di Fateh. At this, the assembly abuzz with both the drizzle of red and the fizz of mirth. Just then, an announcement is made. This is Wagha. Quiet down. Everyone halt, whatever you're doing. Sit down. Calm down. The writers sit like statues in their chairs, and the actors freeze in whatever pose they are in. Vishen Singh, too, one hand cupped to his ear and the other shading an eye, adopts a listening, watching a pose, attentive to the voice. Then he asks in a serious tone, Fazal Deen, where is Toba Tek Singh? Anto replies softly, Where is it? Right there, right where it always was. Bishan Singh leaps up, but his voice grows serious and is suppressed by the words. This is Vaga, echoing in the air. Suddenly, many people, some dressed up, some villagers, and many in military regalia, come running forward. They pull the chairs out from under the writers, push their pens into their pockets, and hoist guns and swords, brandishing them at the ready. It takes the writers a while to understand that the chairs have been pulled out from under them, so they remain sitting in the air for a time. Actually, this drama belongs to both to those from the future and those from bygone years, such as Krishna Baldev Ved. Some will say two dramas side by side. Some will say two dramas mumble jumbled, one appearing to all that someone about giant soldiers in khaki uniforms on this side of the gate, black uniforms on that, the black and the red, turbans decorated with tall plumes on both sides, as though they are roosters, which rashes up their height with 6 feet to 7. A drama consisting of Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Pakistan Zindabad, Qaid Azam Zindabad. The other is not visible to everyone. And in this, we are the writers who still exist today and will always exist, even after Vaga is gone, whose chairs are pulled out every other day and they stare about vacantly. And this is also because they have never been able to understand whether they have to go to this side or that side, and what is this side and what is that. So their necks are sore from turning their heads this way, that way, and their eyes are questioning, and they themselves, lost, go sometimes that way, then stumble this way, as though carried by the changing of the winds. What everyone calls a border, they gaze out at the sky that canopies both sides and can't detect the border anywhere. And because of this, either they are mistaken or they are actually the ones crossing the border. So they were sitting there, these wise, lost travelers, the bewildered writers, saying to no one another, Listen, my friend, time and territory are all mixed up within me. Sometimes I have absolutely no idea where or when I am. They are in the desolate jungles and their empty halls, so they hadn't even known their chairs had been pulled out from under them, and a new audience had asserted itself. Such a crowd there was, and such patriotism that a shortage of chairs was a daily occurrence. But what mutinous mood was Bhishan Singh in that day? On other days, his circling drama ran on a parallel track, but today it was like he had got himself properly sozzled to totally confound the frontier dance drama. Well, how is one to tell why on all other days the two dramas chugged along separately, side by side, and then one day they became combative and collided? Suffice it to say that's what happened to Bhishan, and no one could quite tell what was happening. But what they did see was the tempest spinning and the telltale cascades of red shooting up, swirling designs messing up the Vaga staging. Orders came from above to arrest the troublemaker immediately, but they could only do what if they saw him, right? And if they couldn't catch him then, how would they do so now? Everyone certainly heard the harsh commands in those tones for which, even today, Krishna Sopti has zero tolerance. She stood straight up, such that the guards advancing towards her got intimidated and stopped in their tracks. She waggled a fierce finger at them. You, sir, that is enough. As if to say, do you dare clash with Toba Dik Singh? Over there, the guards on both sides of the gate, in their high crested turbans and their handlebar moustaches, grew somewhat ruffled. How to look sharp, stand tall amidst these streams of red. It rains down on their eyes and ears, but they can't lift their hands to scratch, nor can they bow their heads this way and that to duck. A chaotic interlude, doing and froing, and another announcement echoes. The sun is about to set. Begin. The vast gates between the two countries clanking open, and quickly the crowd sits down on this side, that side of the Hindustan Pakistan gate, and the tall, dramatically costumed soldiers march to the fore in their tall boots, the high crested fans on their turbans flapping like flags. By then, the writers have stood up, but they wander about in bewilderment, wondering where they are supposed to go. And Bhishamji stands at the gate, staring in astonishment in the other direction, and then falls right over. Array! They have bashed in the general's skull, he laments. Behind him, an actress reads from Bisham Sahani's tamas. His cane, his dark green moth eaten turban, his worn out sandals, all were scattered. She falls silent, and Bishop Sahani takes his book from her hand. You, he says. I, she says. You want to know, don't you, if something happened here? Listen, he says sadly. He reads as he writes. Tell, don't tell. Makes no difference. Bashkhuswant Singh, growling like a tiger, leaps into no man's land, looking neither to the right nor left. His turban unspools like a third flag and flaps in the breeze. At this, Bhushan Singh jerks his head towards the sky to cry out in Punjabi, Ahoy! Bird, are you flying up there? His voice echoing into the present. Who knows if anyone saw him or not? But everyone heard the flapping of the wings of myriad birds, and everyone stopped right there. They were to stare upwards for a few moments and see where the birds were and their wings. But they are nowhere to be seen. This is noted in the newspaper in the report on the drama that day as well, that no one knew if they were birds or UFOs or voices returning from a past massacre. Both mustachioed fellows on each side of the gate also throw their heads back, then hurriedly jerk them straight, worried that they are going to get it for this too. and their eyes meet in shared camaraderie in a moment of worry before their show. But this is out of sympathy, companionship. During the show, their eyes will lock in ferocious enmity. Whatever happens, the show must go on. It's an atmosphere of patriotism. Crowd is already seated, and only the stupid writer still stands stupefied. Women in military uniform who can see them but don't recognize them are scolding them as they are herded about like cattle this way and that, but reasonably, respectfully, and then seated amongst the people. Only Bhisham Singh eludes everyone's grasp. The sound of birds' wings flapping continued, unabated. So the crowd sits, and the writers are bewildered, and except for them, every single person has a mobile in their hand which they hold up, outstretched, and the final flames of the sun reflect on every screen. But the flames have shrunk in size to fit the mobile screen, and so it's like each person is grasping a burning candle. Is it a prayer? The writers are about to ask. But everyone's senses are focused on the two enormous guards on each side that have leapt onto the road that runs betwixt the seated crowd, stamping their boots. It becomes clear from the roars of patriotism that rise from the seated people that this drama is no candlelit vigil. Rahi Masoom Raza writes, "This street is silent. It has not asked anyone, 'Who are you? Why have you come? Where are you going?'" One writer reads the line again. "The street is silent. It has not asked anyone, 'Who are you? Why have you come? Where are you going?'" At which Rahi Masoom Raza glances over at him. The actor greets him. Raza salams back. "Nik rahila na wo puchta hai. Will you stay a while?" asks the actor. "Abhi rahi fi hui." "What's the use of staying now?" responds Raza, turning sadly away. The crowd goes wild. How long we have been waiting. How long we have been waiting. Kab se intezar tha. They cry to one another enthusiastically. At his name, Intezar Sahib stands gently. He wears a close neck coat and seems not to see anyone. His voice is sad. "Now we must die. We have witnessed enough. We have even seen what should not have been. I have no urge to see what lies ahead." He speaks in a tone of hopelessness as he stands in their midst. "My good fellows, is anyone in their senses at this moment? People have lost half a country and they still haven't come to their senses. Who sees him, hears him? People have time and money to burn, and so they have traveled to Vaga. They have been waiting, and no one will stop them from seeing the show. And then the not to be missed performance begins. Such a crisp martial dance, so sharp. Both parties must have rehearsed thoroughly together. No one is an enemy during rehearsal. There must have been laughter and joking. "You'll kick your leg so high, as if you're going to kick yourself in the head. Then I'll kick as if I'm going to bust my own head. Then you'll glare really hard as if you want to gobble me up raw. Then my eyes will shoot burning flames at you menacingly, like bombs and bullets raining down on you." But now in the show, it's all feints of enormosity. The sword slashes through the air. The gun does flips crack frack, and they stare at one another in a scary way. And when they brandish their fists, the fans on their turbans flap fiercely. Like any riveting drama, no one can tell if the emotions being performed are true or false. Is it a fight or a game? The audience wonders at its stares. Writers too. Manto gazes down as though sleeping or weeping. Krishna Sopti, of course, continues to waggle her finger at them angrily, saying, "Sir, that is enough." But Bhishma Singh is on a roll. He's busy throwing the Lal Salam amidst the soldiers' maneuvers now, and there are other shenanigans going on as well. Everything is under control for the time being. Still, one might say, with nationalism so strong, but he resorts to new and newer tricks to put a spanner in the works. Jumps suddenly from hidden places and startles the cries of nationalism soaring up to the skies. So the cries waver, and behind all the military alertness, a nervous quiver. Be alert, look sharp, catch the troublemaker out lest he ruin your performance. Because at any time, the birds, or whatever they are, flap noisily up there, and the streams of red spurt upwards, and cutting through the shouts rising higher than in a cricket match of the ear-splitting Hindustan Zindabad, Pakistan Zindabad, Qaid-e-Azam Zindabad, Bharat Mata ki Jai, Jai, comes the voice echoing loud and clear. Apad di gadgad di anigte di bed haya, the mung di dal of the pithe mu. It seems a contingent of plainclothes detectives has been deployed. Their eyes dance about robotically, but Bishan Singh evades their grasp. He swerves left and right of the plainclothes and the uniform clad soldiers and surprises them all by suddenly popping up somewhere in the midst of the populace and screaming out. No one is able to stop him from doing his hop, skip, jump antics on both sides of both gates. Once he shouts Har Har Mahadev from the midst of the Pakistan Zindabad contingent, and the soldiers ran to catch him. But somehow he flew over or slipped under the gate and came out the other side, where he shouted, Aab-e Zamzam Rutba Shah. Then Comparson, quick on his heels and deluded about his own genius, hurled forth a blow, through which Bishan wriggled as though it was merely a plume of smoke. But Bishan Singh was pleased by the punching idea. His invisible fist gave it to the demons on both sides, and he would gleefully land a punch on their dangerous thighs, making their legs buckle and their uniforms lurch, and making them splutter. They couldn't turn their heads to look and see who was hitting them, so he could spring forth again and punch them again, and they could lose their balance any moment. Everyone else was aghast too. Is there a monkey or what, doing this and then vanishing like a ghost? Bishan Singh's sudden appearance and disappearance like a spirit was going well for him today. Now one guard, turban fan dancing, felt himself tickled at the waist, so he bent to the side, but the fellow was clever and suddenly bent to the other side as well, as though this was simply a step in the martial dance. The man on the other side vigorously followed suit, so as not to fall behind in the competition himself, synchronizing their movements to make it look like part of the performance. Now, what shall I do? Bishan Singh picked up the books from the writers and actors as he pleased and started to read them aloud at the top of his lungs. When the mishmash of literary lines echoed amidst the usual slogans of the populace, the writers felt befuddled. They couldn't understand anything anyway as they stood about in confusion. And when they heard what they had written, they gave respectful greetings as though they were supposed to humbly acknowledge their own lines. Like when he picked up Sukha Bargat, the dry banyan tree, and the echo rang out in the wind that even after being burned to cinders in a riot, home is still called home. Manzoor Ehtisham turned around in a flurry and stood up as though he were confessing his guilt. And then he felt more confused, and he crouched down as though he hoped it would render him invisible, and started tiptoeing away. But he who had gone mad from the years of lunacy between the two countries was not in the mood for leniency today. What happened next on that day on that stage at the edge of the border, which is on the other side of the other edge of the border, was this. The sun was setting, and the moment had come for taking down the national flags on both sides. The guards in the crested turbans were in great hurry to execute their duty correctly, though they hid their haste. They had already shaken hands with one another with excessive alertness, as if to say, "Buddy, it's you and me together today. The enemy is some third party." The last section of the dance remained. They must lower both flags. Slogans arose with great force, as though they were arms and legs that had climbed the poles with the agility of monkeys and would now lower the flags. When the noise outside rivals that of the drama within, then the spectacle can seem obscene, and so it did. But then something happened. The mischief maker leapt up like a monkey, and jumping from this pole to that like an acrobat, began impeding the lowering of both sides' flags. The guards were at their wits' end. On both sides, if they jerked hard, the rope might snap. But why wasn't it working when they pulled? They stared at one another balefully, as if to say, "Brother, we shall pull and tug together. It's up to us to protect our honor together. Please help me out." Deep down inside, they feared the authorities would blame them and their jobs might be hung out to dry. But today the flag flew free. Pull it down, up it goes. Raise it, jerk it, it gets stuck on both sides. Then everyone sat up and took notice. The gawkers forgot their fulsome cries and watched in shock. Silence fell. Phone calls were made on both sides. Messengers were hurriedly dispatched, and in the blink of an eye, the army's highest officers came marching in, straight to the gates, barking orders in muted but firm voices that the flag must come down. The grandeur on the faces of the gigantic guards wilted pathetically, as if it had been drawn on with face paint that had melted in the sunlight. They had been transformed into hulking lambs today. Disgrace and humiliation. Everyone staring fixedly at their own flags, the flags doing their monkey dance, the guards able to do nothing. In place of the flags, their faces had come down. Then only their uniforms remained, and they themselves were as good as gone. Then the birds flapped back, and the next thing you know, both flags came fluttering down, and they hadn't yet reached the bottom when they leapt into the air as though some unseen hand had flung them here to there and there to here. The tricolor there, the crescent moon here. "Oh, oh, oh!" a screaming or hissing rising from the crowd. "Quick, shut the gate!" The command rings out as though the reality of what's befallen the flags can somehow be terminated. There's a shrieking of metal, and the speed with which the police round up the cameras, that is, the mobiles and the journalists from both sides, will certainly be cited as praiseworthy. Because there will be no news of this fiasco drama in any newspaper or publication. No one will write that the flags had been laid low at Vaga and they had forgotten which side they belonged to. No photos exist anywhere. Some police or army officer might have taken a shot on the sly out of curiosity or interest, and centuries later, some research or decedent may fish it out by accident and may delve into the story behind it, in which case something might come out. But for now, noise, and then everything sinks unseen into the silence. Chapter 2. Who pays attention to the little people in these appearing, disappearing dramas? No one has any interest in the little people's line except they themselves, and even they don't understand all that much, all that well, because they are always absent mindedly mixing up old times with new, and youth with old age. Among these proceed the small woman with her growing bigger daughter. Ma, sitting in car with Beatty, would not listen and had got out, insisting on walking the remaining part to the border on foot, as though it were not she but her diseased companion walking, who had had her dream of travelling to the other side with the packets of chironji snatched from her. To follow the path of a soul, one must walk at a soulful pace. Ma walked softly, gently. When they reached Atari, a milestone stopped these small people the way the Mona Lisa arrests one in the Louvre. On the milestone was written the distance to Lahore, 30 kilometers. The road stretched out in both directions on both sides. The woman walks as though traversing an entire century with each step, her daughter's hand in hers, leaning on her cane. The sun watches from far off, somewhat restless, somewhat ruffled, as if to ask, what's left now but to turn about, get back in the car, and set off for Amritsar? As there was heat in the sun, there was cool in the shade. Spacious yards, as in factories. What sort of factories are these? Were they here before? Wondered one of the little people. Plastic chairs by the side of the road, on which uniformed men dozed with one eye open. Some types of birds can fly long distances half asleep and half awake. They must have got their training from them. Were they here before? Asked some of the little people. A policewoman assessed the women. What's in the handbag? What's in this packet? Small folk passed through the large halls, interrogation after inquisition. Immigration halls, brand shiny new. No one here belongs to anyone else. One's own long distance forgotten. The hall is huge, the people small, the queue long, destitute pure poor, shiny rich, bundles atop heads, faces snuffed of light. Polio pill? Yes, taken. See? Certificate. You have passport, visa, or no? Suspicion in the officer's eyes. Right, left, turn, stare. Turn, stare. The officials scratch their heads, wondering what to examine and what to evaluate. Bundles of photos. No sensitive photos? Of our nuclear facilities, parliament, army area. A bundle of letters. Man, these are ancient. Take them, take them. Pictures of trees? What game is this? Bhai, explain, why are you taking photographs of these trees? Are there no trees on that side? They don't get it. That relatives, trees, rocks. Someone wants to see. Someone wants to show. They scrape the rocks, flip the trees over, and examine. What is hidden in these leaves? Is these layers? Not getting anything. What they are trained to see is not here. What is here, they are not trained to see. He is taking manure? What to do? Is it dry or moist? Dry? It should be properly packed. Pack it properly in plastic. Should we let them take it or toss it? Are you decide for yourself. Go bhaiya, take your hobby with you. Chironji seeds, smuggling, drugs. Both women seem beyond such possibilities. And this? The Buddha? Betty stares in astonishment. When had Ma packed it? Had she feared Buddy would take it in our absence? He's hardly going to break into my home. This Buddha has become self willed. It shows up of its own accord, whenever it feels like it. Does it seek its own niche in the tale? The examining officer picks it up and turns it about. Betty's face goes blank. The officer is young. The Buddha is ancient, accompanied by an 80-year-old woman. The final layer of skin molded over the final bit of bone. Sunken eyes, ribs you can count. The young man begins to count them, then tires. Still has so much to do, no time for games. Please go and sit on the bus. He lets them go. And so they arrive at the gates between Hindustan and Pakistan. From Hindustan Gate to Pakistan Gate. As the gates clang open, some walk slowly, some start running. The bus stops. Some continue by foot. They walk along, drawing their labored breathing from the harsh brilliance of the sun. They stop, then walk again. When Ma gets down from the bus, her eyes too bear the signs of being lost that is visible in those around them. Border to what? Do we belong here or there? There are rows of flowers. Ma bends down and dusts off a few petals. She gets the soil on her hand. Some people have only come to see someone. An old woman from here runs and embraces a little girl from there, crying out, "My granddaughter, my granddaughter!" The little girl laughs at the old woman's tears. Where are we? She blinks. What does she know? Short kurtas, long kurtas, plain kurtas, embroidered kurtas. Some wear pajama like salwar pajama. Some wear shalwar like pajama. One has come for a cassette. Bebe can't walk, so she sent her voice. Give it to me, give. I'll listen to it every day. Kuku, who was the younger brother of Shamli Devi and used to be Paramjit, has come from Moja, Court Khalifa. Now he is called Karimullah and has a wrinkled face. Shamli's son, who has never seen his uncle, leaps up on seeing him approach and says, "Oh, you have come!" Standing at the zero line, the brother and sister ask a question of each other in curiosity or accusation and start when they realize they are both saying the same thing. Where have you been all these years? But repeating the words over and over doesn't elicit an answer. If you don't know, you don't know. Sarabjit Kaur has come as well. She throws back her orni as she searches. Where is my little girl? Who is your little girl? 4-year-old Amrit Kaur. A Sardarji had been sitting in a bus on that side. Sakina's daughter Masuma sat near him, came up and called him uncle and touched him. What's this? Uncle looked and realized that Sakina was Amrit Kaur. He went back to his home village, where there was a mother who stared at the stars every day, wondering which one is my little girl. The star would fall, and she would cup it in her palm like a firefly. That was Sarabjit Kaur. This is my little girl. This is the little girl of my little girl. The green and white clangs to a close. People are treated as cattle. Some push this way, some that. The tiny woman gets off the bus with her daughter. The Pakistani ambassador has sent a car to bring Ma and Beti to Lahore. Rahat Sahib greets them. The tiny woman stands at the thing they call the border, on the other side, spinning slowly like the earth, wondering where to go, this way or which way. It's as though she had started wearing her dervish style attire just for this day. The clothing makes her spin too. Her daughter stops the spinning and turns her mother frontwards, facing the road to Lahore. The road they are on is called the Grand Trunk Road. It comes this way and goes that way too. The small woman sets out swiftly as though she's racing with the street. Chapter 3. The artist Swaminathan made a bird. His friend asked, "So why a bird?" His friend asked, and he replied, "I must have seen it somewhere," remarked Swami absent-mindedly. "Why is it sitting on a cliff?" "It must have found that place to sit," he replied in the same fashion. Then all the world looked up at the cliffs. and imagined a bird perched upon them, and large cliffs began appearing all over the place, all over the world, and on them tiny dots or butterflies, or flower like butterflies, or birds, resting so gently they might tumble as you watched. But they didn't and won't tumble. Solid, hearty, smaller than small birds that no one would have noticed had Swami not seen one such bird somewhere, and had he not waved his brush, and if the world were not a stage. This is how the performance begins: the bird and the cliff, a large cliff, a teeny bird, an about to crumble cliff, and a butterfly-esque bird. Now what will happen? Oh ho! What? Oh ah! A rock will fall. The bird will die. No, 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 no. The rock will rise. The bird will sigh. Catch a fish. The rock will melt, and the bird will swim. Ha! Then why wouldn't Swamiji paint a fish in the water? And so he did. One day he rose. It occurred to him to choose a new color that day. He stretched out the canvas on the floor because he wanted the water to spread and the bird to swim. He picked up the tubes of paint. Which shall I squeeze? Cobalt blue or letterbox red? His hand had 5 fingers, as usual, which were adept at pressing out color. But he is Swami, not a machine, a human, even if Swami. It's a finger, not some button you can set at the exact speed and exact force you want, exactly directed. He accidentally pressed a bit too hard. Too much color spurted from the squishing. On that special day, paint squirted out of the tube like extra toothpaste, oozing with childish glee, and ran amok all over the canvas with immense delight. Swami jerked his dhoti forward urgently like an archer, as mothers do, and used it to blot the foam of the frothing color, as though it were split milk, but softly so as not to suffocate the fish. Handloom dhoti, white in color, thin black border, Mrignani from Bhopal. He printed it onto the canvas for all eternity. And that very moment, a whole new world arose with another story in it. A story which contains a rock and a bird and a fish and water and myriad wonderings on handloom pressed words. The tale unhampered, Ma unending, women in new beginnings.